It's important to do legal planning when you have a child with disabilities because everything is magnified. So if we don't do the planning, there are major consequences for our children after they turn age 18.
But we know now there is hope when you go through these
Definitely
stages and get that hard work done.
You feel more relaxed, less anxiety, more reassured about the solid future for your child.
As my son neared the age of 18, I knew that I needed to get with the program and start figuring out what was going to happen next. The first thing I thought about was guardianship because I had read about it, I knew about it. There are, of course, many different kinds of guardianship as we have all learned about. My son, I think, is kind of in the middle of whether to get a full guardianship or not to have guardianship at all. And that's just because his intellectual abilities, his executive decision making, all of those things allow him to do some things on his own, but some of the more major things I really want to be involved in. So he has what we refer to in Texas as a limited guardianship. You can go to the judge and with support from your medical providers, delineate the areas in which you think that it would benefit your child to have guardianship. And that's what we did.
Our son Will, who's now 33 years old, has severe disabilities. When Will was about 16 years old, we started thinking hard about it and exploring the alternatives. And so right when he turned 18, we went to court and got guardianship for Will. And we have full guardianship. So that means that all areas of his life are under our control and our decision-making power. And that's not to say that we ignore his wishes and choices. We're always trying to figure what is his behavior telling us, his well-being, his gestures, his laughter, his moods, all of those things we take into account all the time about making decisions for him. Guardianship is for people who really need a very strong decision maker and voice speaking for them. Whereas power of attorney is for someone who needs some help but can do a lot on their own and can understand that they're giving that power to someone else because they do acknowledge they need some help in certain areas of their life.
So I met with an attorney to explore guardianship, but Peyton walks and talks and has lots of opinions and really kind of knows what she wants. So I decided to do power of attorney because a couple of the areas that I was really concerned about were medical and financial. So we have a medical power of attorney and financial power of attorney. If I feel that, if things change, then down the road, then we can revisit it. But right now, I really want to kind of see what she can do and support her and see what happens.
And you bring up a really good point because nothing is set in stone with guardianship. I can decide that Peter doesn't need a guardian at all and have it removed. Or you could decide maybe she does. You can change guardian. All of these things do require going back to court and showing good cause, but still, it can be changed. Nothing is final here.
So I think it's very helpful for families to understand that 18 is an important date. You don't have to get it at 18, but you have to be prepared for the fact that doctors' offices may not listen to you anymore. It's very important to find an attorney to help you through the process of getting guardianship, an attorney who knows what they're doing. I would talk to other parents, go online, call legal referral agencies, and also Texas Parent to Parent has a great listserv where you can talk to other parents by email listserv so that you can get ideas from other parents in your area. Another really important factor about legal planning is knowing that a middle-class family that may not have ever gotten any resources can start applying at 8 to 18 for things like Medicaid and SSI, Supplemental Security Income, and other sorts of funding sources that will really assist their adult for a lifetime. Look at your child's assets way before age 18. A special needs trust is a way to legally fund and give money to a person and it's not in their name because of the way the trust is written, and so they can acquire funding over $2,000 in inheritance, trust, bank accounts, whatever, that goes into this special needs trust.
And we all need to have that in our will, certainly. Any parent of a special needs child, because first of all, without having a will and without having the special needs trust in it, the law would just have natural inheritance laws in place, which means it would go to the children.
And so that's why it's so important to figure out, how can I be sure my child will continue to be eligible for these important services and supports after age 18 for their lifetime. And remember that it's their lifetime, not yours, not the adults, not the parents. I mean, part of the planning for the long term is really finding a little group of people that can watch over the quality of life for our adults, particularly when we're not there, right, and can really help in their decision making. Everybody has trouble facing their death and their mortality, and no one wants to create a will. But I've heard many talks from lawyers where they say it's important for all of us to have a will, but it's super important for a parent of a child with a disability to have a will. I'd like to mention that Texas Parent to Parents website has a lot of this information in much more detail. If you go to our website and then click on Pathways to Adulthood, you'll find much more explanation for all of these things that we've mentioned: guardianship, alternatives to guardianship, funding, and quality of life issues like creating a network for your child's long-term well-being. Everything we know as parents and what we've heard from other parents and from professionals in the legal field is that it's so important to go in and do the planning regardless of your own emotional state and your worries about your child and also your uncertainty about the future for your child, that it's still so important to go ahead and do the planning. The legal planning, the financial planning, the community connections, finding the services and supports that your child will need as an adult.
And the sooner you start, the better. Like, there is no time, it doesn't matter how old your child is, don't wait. Make a plan now. It's very important to make a plan now.